Sounds like a free song.
Wake up, sleeping giant, stand at your feet.
I love that song. I heard one yesterday that said there's absolutely nothing that my God can't do. That's right.
First Kings, chapter 19. Talking about Elijah. Yep, First Kings 19. Gonna read verse 3 and 4. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, It is enough now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers. Let's pray.
Lord, we worship you this morning and thank you for the message and the message. Lord, give us the word. Let the Spirit
Now, right before this, Elijah was on Mount Carmel. They just come out from about 7-year drought. Ain't nothing rain, didn't do nothing. Everybody in the place was looking for him. He was chilling at some widow's house with a kid, and with a thing of meal and oil and a little bit of firewood that it didn't run out. It didn't run out, and they had bread every day. Every one of them had bread. I mean, there was enough making one, but they made them 3 meals a day, I believe. 3 people, 3 meals a day, all day, every day. And God took care of him. He saw that miracle. Then he stood on Mount Carmel, where he faced off against 450 priests of Baal, who hooped and hollered and cut themselves and couldn't get their God to answer. And he said, what was it? 36 words? 36-word prayer or something? And don't quote me on that exact number. He said this little prayer, and God answered with fire from heaven that swoops down and takes the sacrifice, takes the stones, takes the dirt, takes the grass, takes the water, takes everything up. And everybody believes that it's God, and then they slay the 450 priests of Baal. And he sits there on the mountaintop, tells Ahab to go and celebrate. When Ahab goes and celebrates, he sends the servant back up and forth. I'm going through this story like really quickly here, just so you understand. Right. Sends the servant up and down the hill about 7 times. 7th time he comes down and says, I see a cloud about the size of a man's hand coming out the ocean. He said, okay, tell Ahab, get off the mountain, rain's coming. Now this man, me and Shane was talking about this. This man, Ahab had a head start in a horse-drawn chariot, which would probably travel about 35, 40 miles an hour. And it had a head start, and Elijah, with the Spirit of God, outran this thing to make it to the kingdom, make it to safety before the storms washed them all off the mountain. He saw all this. He was on top of the world, and he had all this stuff going with God, and now we find him sitting under a juniper tree saying, let me die. Boy, that's a little drastic, I think. He goes from top of the world to just take me now. But you know what's funny? Is we all end up like this. Boy, I'm telling you, we can have some of the mightiest moves that we've ever seen in the world. We'll see people, we'll be able to testify to people, see hearts move, convince people to come onto the altar. Next thing we're doing, we're laying in bed trying to find a reason to get up, saying, Lord, why did I even wake up today? Why couldn't you just take me now? Just take me now, because I'm worthless. He's just done all this work through you. It wasn't you that done it, but he done all this mighty work through you, and he has a purpose for you. And now that you can't see it, and the only thing you think is, why did I wake up today? Why did you let me? Just take me now. I'm no better than the rest of them. Because the devil is reminding me of the time I did this, the time I did that. Oh yeah, and there's this. I'm no better than any of my fathers before me. Just take me down. Because we can't see the hope. Yet this book has expressly showed us hope. Go back to the father of our faith. Father Abraham had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. That's all singing I'm doing for y'all. They say he had many sons. He had two. Two. One born of the flesh and one born of the spirit. But he was 75 years old when God called him. Married to a barren wife. Traveled for a land that God had promised him that he would never actually take in his own hands. He only saw the promise from afar off. Talk about a man that could have lost hope, but he clung to what God had promised him.
Amen.
He clung to what God had said. Knowing that there was a city out there whose builder and maker was not man. A land at which he would dwell in full of milk and honey, and that God would bless all the world through the seed of him. Look at Moses. It was Moses and Aaron who had to face off against Egypt. Had to face off against Pharaoh and his armies and an entire nation of people to demand the freedom. Boy, that looked all hopeless. God delivers. God moves. And we see that. So what brings us back down to the low points? Because they had some low points. Boy, Moses was just about ready to give up a few times himself. But he saw the mighty move. The people of Israel saw the mighty move of God as he delivered plague after plague until they were delivered out of the hand. And even then, when Pharaoh chased them, he parted the sea so they walked across on dry land. About 3 million people walked through the Red Sea on dry. It wasn't wet down there. He parted the sea and dried the ground. They walked through so it was easy. And then he drowned their pursuers behind them. And said, look at them. You'll never see these Egyptians again. And he drowned them. And they're out in the wilderness, and then they lose hope like that. Well, we're out here to die. We're going to make this gold calf to worship because Moses up on that mountain and God killed him and God must have died or something. So we're going to make us a golden calf. How do we lose faith so quickly? How do we end up like this, crawled up under a juniper tree saying, Lord, just take me now. There ain't no hope. My brother ain't coming in. My dad ain't coming in. My cousins, they're lost cause. There ain't no point in going on anymore, Lord. Just take me now. How did we end up there? Boy, that was the hardest case in the world. Me. So like we was discussing, said a lot of people like think before they were saved they were good people. Daryl said, I was a good man. I did this and I did that. I was a good man. I was not one of those people. I was scum of the earth then, and I knew it. I'd actually tell people, I said, if there's somebody meant for hell, it's me. What do you mean? I mean, I'm paving my way there right now, son. Said I was the hardest case in the world. You couldn't talk about God. You couldn't sing gospel music. I didn't want to see the Bible. I was kind of like a vampire that way. If you start bringing out holy objects, I'm over here, hissing and trying to get away from them. I mean, I was terrified of them. I was like, get away from me with that stuff. You go away. So, and yet somehow God reached me. And yet sometimes I see my family struggle thinking that he's going to get to the next one when I was the worst one. He knocked the worst one out the way first and said, look, I got him. You don't think I can't get the rest of them? But why do we lose hope? Sometimes I do. I'm like, how are you going to do it, Lord? I don't think you can. And he's like, I got you, didn't I? But we lose hope because we lose sight. We start listening to the devil. That's what happened right here. Jezebel came up against him and said, I'm going to destroy you. And he started listening to the devil. The devil was like, that woman can do it. She commands armies. She got a whole nation of people that they got swords. They're going to come looking for you. There ain't going to be a place you can hide. She commands all this, and he got scared. because he listened to the devil. What does God say? What does God say? You know, what did he say? He said, my sheep know my voice. What happened to Peter when he took his eyes off God is he sank in the ocean. He sank right there. But when he had his eyes on God, he could walk on water. What we got to do is maintain focus. Amen. Yeah, I don't want to be this dude. I don't want to be this dude sitting under a juniper tree asking God to kill me. I've been there. It's not a nice place. But we got to maintain focus. We got to maintain focus on God. It's that old trick, you know, when you're walking somewhere where it's really hard, really narrow place where they say, don't look down. Don't look down, just keep walking. Come to me, pay attention to me, and listen to my voice. Don't look down. That's what we got to do. We got to stop looking down, Darryl.
Right, amen.
Keep our eyes focused on God.
Yes, that's right.
Look towards Him. Look towards the goal.
Amen.
What does it say? Set your mind and your affections towards heaven.
Yeah.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all other things shall be added to you.
Amen.
You don't want to end up in this low place. You got to keep your eyes on God, and that's not easy. Because we know the bad things that come, don't we? Oh, there's deaths in the family. There's sickness that happens. There's bills that come up, paychecks that change. Boy, it's awful hard to get through. What am I going to do? Oh, man. And he said, you ever notice that when you start worrying and pacing, where's your eyes go? You start thinking about, well, we got this bill to pay. How are we going to get this one done? What are we going to do? I don't know. Where are you looking at now? You're looking down and thinking, oh, God, what are we going to do? When in fact, we should look up and say, okay, Lord, I know you're going to get me through. You got me through worse than this before. You got me through. We got this. We got this. I ain't going to crawl up and die now. We come too far for that. See, we got to get our eyes up on God. Now, how do we get our eyes on God? We got to reset our focus. Reset the focus. He made a promise that He will stick us closer to a brother. He will be closer than a brother. Means He's always with us. He'll always be there. Better than a friend. Better than all this. But we have to put in effort. You know why our families ain't coming in? You know why we can't get rid of these sicknesses? Do you know why our church is somewhat empty? Because we're not putting in our effort. It's not that it requires anything, but if you want power and authority, and I don't mean power and authority like the world can give, I'm talking power and authority over the darkness and the principalities.
Yes, amen.
If you want to, rejoice not that the demons listen to you, but rejoice that your name is in the kingdom of heaven, written in the Lamb's book of life. That is true. But if you want power over the darkness of this world to reclaim what God has promised you, there is a way to do it. And He told you how. This kind come not yet but by prayer and fasting. Boy, I hate that word, don't you, fasting? And try praying. Try to spend a day in prayer. I tried one time to spend an entire day in prayer. And if you don't think the devil comes against you now, try to spend a day in prayer. Now add fasting on top of that. Boy, he will drive you nuts. But that's how it happens. We have to keep our eyes on God. And sometimes to keep our eyes on God, we got to get some stuff out the way. Yeah, I don't need this burrito. I need about 5 minutes with you so I can whip this little devil all over the place. Because he's in my way, and we got to take care of him. Otherwise, if we don't, now, we can keep feeding their gut, we can keep feeding their mind, and it ain't just food. I ain't just talking about food here. It's the television sometimes. It's that nice new book that you got your hands on that I like to read. Librarian, I'm kind of guilty of books. It's that radio program you was looking for. It's that Kentucky game that's come on. It's that World Series run that's playing on ESPN. It's that fancy dinner that you've been looking forward to all month. Going out to that fancy restaurant. It's all these things that you're putting into. It's that 25, 30, 40 extra minutes of sleep that you could get up in the morning and say a prayer before you got to go to work. What is it that we put in front of God? Then if you keep putting things in front of God, then it's like driving by every gas station from here to Lexington. Yeah. You know your car is still going to run because it's still got some gas in it. You're just not going to be able to go as far as you might need to because you're sitting there on about a quarter of a tank of gas. Eventually, you have to refill. If you don't, you're going to be broke down on the side of the road out of gas, waiting, calling somebody, and that's what happens to us. That's how we end up in this situation. Oh, Lord, there ain't no hope. Oh, Lord, just take me now, because you ain't got the spiritual gasoline to continue in the forward motion, and you're having to call somebody to come get you. Daryl, you have to pray for me. You have to pray. It's really bad, Daryl. It's really bad. I don't know what to do. Because we did not fill up on God. I hope I'm not rambling. I hope I'm making sense here. But this is how you end up in this situation. This man right here, Elijah was a prophet. Elijah was great. But this man turned around and he did these great things in the faith, believing in God. And rather than refill himself with prayer and this and that, he started paying attention to everything around him. And then when this woman came against him, he believed it. And what we do is we stop focusing on God, we stop filling up, and we start looking around, we start paying attention to what's around us, and let that drain our spiritual gas tank until we find ourselves crawling on the ground and begging God, just take me now, because I can't handle no more. I can't handle no more, Lord. Jesus died for you. Now, how's it going to work that into what he's saying? Jesus died for you. He spilled his blood on Calvary so that you could be in the presence of God, so that he could stand at the right hand of power and through the Holy Ghost make intercession on your behalf. Amen. To get you the things you need, not always the things you want, but to get you the things you need to make it through this land in your pilgrim journey so that you can make it home. He did not die so that you could crawl up under a rock and just give up. Right. Come on. It's true. We are soldiers. Ephesians will tell you to don the whole armor of God. And that's what people think. People make the mistake and they get their eyes off God and think, I have to fight this battle. Read it again in Ephesians chapter 6. Read it again. He didn't tell you to go fight your own battle. He said, don ye the armor of God, the shield of faith, the helm of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, and having done all else, stand. Stand. He didn't tell you to go out and fight your own battle. He said, I got your battle for you. You took your eyes off God and decided you're going to go out and whip the devil yourself, and you realize he's a bit tougher than what you thought he was. He didn't tell you to go fight that battle, did he, Darryl? No, he told you to put that armor on so the devil can't get to you. And then I'm going to whip him for you. Stand. Put your eyes on me and watch what I do. Come on. Yeah. Because we too often think it's about us. And that's how you end up under a tree, because little woe was me, because it's all about me, and now something's come against me. I can't handle no more. Put your eyes back where they belong on God. Put them back on Jesus on Calvary, where he took the stripes so you don't have to. He took the nails so you didn't have to. He took the spear so you didn't have to. And realize that he has won the victory. He has won the victory over life. He has won the victory over death. He has conquered the grave. He has took the keys of hell. Yeah. He's done it. And if he's already assured us victory, why are we under the juniper tree? Right. It's time to push something away. Turn our TV off. Turn the radio off on our commute back and forth to work. Talk to God a little bit more. Seek his face. Seek his presence. Set our eyes up so we ain't looking down. Because you got to remember, you're walking a narrow path. And let me rephrase this for you. I said it straight there. Because we think we know what we live in Kentucky. We know what a narrow path is. You meet another car, you got to back up half a mile to let somebody through. No! You walking a tightrope, son. This is foot in front of foot in front of foot to get to where you're going. And if you look down, you're probably going to fall because, whoo, that's a long way down. Because our journey leads up. Time to look up and stop paying attention to the path. Look at the goal. Seek the goal. Yeah. Seek Jesus. Seek Him. And when you seek Jesus, He will fill you with His Spirit. Like Darryl was talking about, he said something inside of him set on fire, and he didn't know what it was, and he didn't think he can contain it anymore. It's like, whoa, what is that? So when you seek Jesus, He's going to put Himself, His presence, the Holy Ghost inside of you. Yeah. And it's not going to be able for you to contain it. And you're going to be too busy trying to give somebody else some of this. I've got too much, Darryl. Take some of this. I can't handle them. And be too worried about trying to give some of that to somebody else to be worried about sitting under a juniper tree going, kill me now. Just kill me now. When you fill yourself with godly things, you can't think of worldly things. Amen. You can't deal with temptation because, boy, I got something holy. I ain't worried about that. Get that away from me. I got something better. When you set yourself on heavenly goals, you ain't worried no more about the bills and the things coming against you. When you set yourself up to Jesus, how can the devil afflict you? You know that you did this and He forgave me of it, Satan. You ain't worthy, but I am by His blood. How can it affect you anymore when you set yourself up in Jesus? Now, you want a move of God? We have to focus on Jesus, but not as individuals. Where one or two are gathered in my name, I shall be there. Amen. True. But how many was in that upper room? Anybody? About 110, 120. There it is. There. And what were they doing? They were in one mind and one accord, seeking after the things of Jesus. Now, we want to move of God. That's our thing. Darryl, I can't be worried about my bills. I can't be worried about, my car payment, this and that. Mm-mm. And Cameron, it's going to sound a little harsh. You can't be worried about your grandpa. You can't be focusing on how he's sick and his treatments. I know it sounds harsh, but trust me, there's something behind this. Abigail, you can't be worried about that friend of yours that overdosed. You can't be worried about that thing. Joe, you can't be worried about your family. What are you talking about, Josh? We don't. No. Trust me on this one. Trust me on this. Hear me out now. I'm about to throw a crazy pitch to you.
We're listening.
We come together and we decide together that we just going to pray for God's Spirit. I don't think that John was up in that upper room praying about how he's going to pay his taxes in a few days. I don't think Peter was up there praying about, something about his wife or getting her something nice for whatever anniversary they even celebrated. I don't think Barnabas was up there praying about what he's going to have to do to get by next month. I think they were just there together. And the only thing they were focused on was getting the power and grace and glory of Jesus. Amen. Now, if we come together and do that, look what happened. Look what happened. 5,000 saved in a day. People believed all over. People witnessed what was happening through and going, there's something there. Because they were too busy. They couldn't be bothered because all of Rome was wanting to get rid of these people. All of Israel, the high priest wanted to get rid of. They didn't have time to lay down and worry and think, well, I ought to just die because they're all after me. They were like, we're going to seek after the presence of God, and then boldly proclaimed it. Amen. And if we come together that way, that's when God's going to answer us on our bills. That's when God's going to move on our friends. That's when God's going to pull our family in. That's when God's going to deliver the healing. But we seek first God, and do not get discouraged and lay ourselves because He didn't answer us right away. They were up there for a number of days. 10 days they sat and prayed and fasted. Together in one mind and one accord. Whoo! Awful hot in the desert in a big high room when heat rises with 110 other people with no air conditioning. Whew, sure is warm up here. But they got together and they couldn't focus on the woes. They were too busy seeking God and seeking Jesus to sit up under a tree and say, God, kill me. And that's what we got to do to get out of our own way. Forget our problems. Let us seek God in self and let us seek God together. And then we will see a mighty move of God. And we will be too busy, too concerned with God, and too concerned with delivering His Spirit to lay there and ask God to kill us. Because I ain't gonna lie to you people, I felt that way. That's what led me here. I sat in my car, I laid my seat back, and I stared at the ceiling and I asked God, won't you just go ahead and kill me because I'm a terrible person? I'm no better than those who came before me. I sinned. I'm supposed to be a saved Christian, and I messed up and I sinned against you. I'm a terrible human being. Why do you even let me live? And He led me here. And it's like, you know what? Why was he so depressed? And God asked me the same question. Why are you so depressed? I don't know. Why am I so depressed? I got Jesus. Why are you so concerned, Darrell? You got Jesus. But let us come together and let us fill ourselves with God. Let's push something away in our life. I don't care if it's a food. I don't care if it's TV. I don't care if it's a book. I don't care if it's a fishing trip. I don't care if it's a hunting trip. I don't care if it's that 20 extra minutes of sleep that I like to try to get every day when I don't have to take people to school and work. I can sleep for an extra 20 minutes. No, let's get up and pray. Let's get up and read the Bible. Let us focus together and not just pray, Lord, not just pray for me. Lord, give me strength in this. But Lord, bind together with Darrell and Joe and Cheyenne and my mom and Avenel. Let us bind together and let us think. I know they're praying too, and give us the strength to carry on in your name. Let us do this, and we will not have time to sit up under that tree. Let us do this, and we'll see this church filled up. Let us do this, and we will see sick healed. Yeah. Come on. We've got Jesus. We got to look up. We ain't got time to feel sorry for ourselves. That's right. Come on. And get all melodramatically suicidal here. Yeah. We ain't got time for this. This world is coming to an end. It's time to stop playing games. Right. We got to look up. We got to keep our eyes on Jesus. And that's all I got. Joe, you got anything you have to add to that? What about you, Darrell?
Oh man, I ain't touching that.
All right. Anybody ain't got nothing else, I say we just go ahead and seek after God. Let's find a place and pray and seek after it.